Hello, hello, and welcome to Class Experience. Today, I am so excited to be doing a Q&A. As you know, in Class Experience, I share all kinds of information when it comes to commercials, right? Well, today I have Gricel. She works in advertising. Hi, Gricel.
Hey, how's it going?
I just wanted to pick her brain when it comes to commercials from the point of view of advertisements or the advertising agency, because I feel like actors, we always come from the point of view of coming into the audition and we see these people sitting on the other side having no idea how the process goes on their end. And I kind of wanted to demystify it. So, Grisel, welcome and thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Of course, of course.
So tell me a little bit about your background, how long you've been in the business. Tell me everything about the agency world and what you've your experience.
Okay, so I've been in the advertising agency world for a very long time, almost 20 years. Um, I hope that doesn't tell my age. It doesn't matter if it does. But yeah, I've been doing this since before I graduated, because one of my teachers knew that a famous agency back in my home country was looking for to fill in a position in the account department. I actually started as an account assistant rather than a creative, and then I was like, this is not for me. So I moved to the creative department, and then I stayed there literally until today. So I've been working for agencies my whole life. And then I totally understand what you are saying, that when you go and you do an audition and you have a bunch of people there watching you and it makes you feel kind of like nervous. I always try to be super gentle, and when I give feedback, trying not to sound like I'm crazy, because sometimes you can actually ask for something that is also contradictory to something that you said before. Sometimes that can happen, and it could be because we want to try different things. Like, for example, I can tell you to be more happy, and then I can tell you to be less happy, and then you're like, but wait, why were you asking me to be happy before? Oh,
Yeah.
because maybe we wanted to try different tones or different emotions, or we thought that maybe the talent that we had in front of us could work better for a different emotion rather than the one that we had in mind before.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I feel
sorry,
like
I
we're
want to
already getting
separate
into.
that.
I love it.
And then, for example, the other thing is like because as a creative, when you think on an idea, you first of all you think on like, okay, like in my case, I think on like a universal truth, which is known as an insight in advertising world, right? An insight is um a universal truth. Like, for example,
Yes.
Latinos love to be part of a community, and they move as a community everywhere, right? That's like a universal truth, right? So, for example, if I'm casting talent for a Latino spot, I will want them to be like in a certain way or act in a certain way according to the script, right? Like, for example, let me give you an example. I used to work for a telecommunication brand, right? Cell phones. Not cell phones, but more like Wi-Fi, and yeah. At the end of the day, it's a phone.
Yeah, a
But
wireless
yeah.
company. Yes.
So, okay, so we have to create this idea where we want people to use our network instead of using the competition, right? So I wrote that, like, I go ahead, I write a script, and then when I write the script, I already have in my mind, and I write it on the script, like the reactions that I want from that person, right? For example, if it's a spot for the Hispanic community, I want someone who can express how happy they feel with this new product, right? So we go into the audition and we give the talent the script, the talent read the script, and we were like, oh, thank you so much. You read the script as we asked you. Now, let me try something different, because maybe we want to, I don't know, try something funnier, or maybe we want to try to show that you are not that happy, that you feel suspicious, that you feel this way or this other way. So that's one of the things that happen when you go into an audition. Like they might ask you to change. I know it's super hard because you already read the script and you have an idea of the character, but like, and that can change, and that actually changed not only because, oh, we're there and we want to try different things. That could actually change once you go into the shoot, because the client changed their mind between we selected the talent and we went into the shooting.
Okay, so I have so many questions from here.
Go,
Okay,
go.
so you are in creative, and if it feels like there's a couple people in creative, you're a copywriter?
Yes.
So what's your counterpart to the copywriter?
Well, in advertising agencies, you work in partners in the creative
Okay.
department. You have a copywriter, which in this case is me, and then you have an art director. The art director is the eyes of the brand. Like, they can also come up with ideas, but I'm the one who write them.
Okay.
But they are, when I say they are the eyes, they are the ones that said like, oh, the logo should be like at the top right corner, or it should be on the other side, or this will look better if we use this kind of lens, or this, yeah,
Understood.
like
Uh-huh.
why don't we, and this is again, when you go into the shoot, you also have to talk with the director,
Mhm.
who is like a third person outside of the agency world, and then you have
Okay.
to agree on, okay, we're gonna shoot the talent on this frame, or like the camera is gonna come from this point of view or this point of.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the art
And
director who knows more about that and who intervenes and gives his opinion. I can also, I don't know why I said that it was a he, it could be a she, so let's say they.
uh-huh. Okay. And how much time do you guys spend developing the idea, right? Until you actually have auditions? Do you guys start that a year in advance, or is that a month in advance? What's that lead time?
Well, that actually depends on the on the brand and the client. Like, for example, when you work on brands like telecommunications, you usually don't have that much time. Like 2 weeks is like you feel
Oh,
blessed.
wow.
Yes,
Okay.
but if you work with with brands that are, why, and let me explain why. Because at the end of the day, that's like telecommunications, or for example, convenience stores, all those type of brands are retail. So retail moves really fast. Whereas,
Fast.
like, for example, if you work for cars, you have like 3-4 months to come up with a concept and then review it. And then that concept goes to, depends on the brand of the car, it goes to Europe, it goes to Asia, it goes to different parts of the world. So
That's
you
so
need
good
a
to know.
longer process.
So for, say, cell phones or telecommunication, it's a short lead time. That's so interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like the turnaround is like crazy. Yes.
Crazy.
Sometimes it's
Okay.
even 24 hours.
So
Because
that also like gives me so much insight, because I feel like sometimes we'll get an audition and they'll be like, oh, we need this today at 5.
yes,
And you don't understand, why do we need this at 5? Caramba,
yeah.
like, you know.
Well, the reality is like when you work for retail is it's constantly changing because they are constantly checking what the competition is doing. So if,
Uh-huh.
for example, I'm working for T-Mobile, let's say, right? And they have this promo. And then they hear that Verizon is about to do some other promo. They are like, no, go back to the drawing board and we only have 24 hours.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, because I flew out to New York to shoot a spot, and it's for a subsidiary of a bigger uh,
Mm-hmm.
company. And I just saw and it was a comedy spot. And I just saw another, like, the competition with, like, now has a little subsidiary, and they have a comedic spot.
Yeah.
Like, wow,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so they're both now competing for, like, like, less expensive
Yeah.
cell phone monthly services
Yeah.
or whatever. And they're both creating these like smaller companies and they're going after the market.
Yeah.
So interesting. Okay. Okay. So you came up with a concept. Do you guys normally use the same casting directors or do you switch it up every so often?
We switch it up only because when you have, like, let's say, a spot, you as an agency, and as mandatory, you need to bid at least 3 different production companies. So those
Okay.
3 different production companies, once you pick one of them, and you don't always work with the same, even though you're working with the same brand,
Okay.
most of the time it's either like the selection is based on budget wise, or if they already work with that production company, it's in between those two. But sometimes you also, like, as a creative, you wanna, like, for example, in my case, I love working with different production companies to get to know different directors, so the spots don't always look the same. But that's me. Sadly, not everyone is the same. I like to work with different people.
And
So
then
to
the
have, like, a
production
different
company
view.
is the one that picks the casting director.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Got it. So then do you pick the production company and then do you also pick the director within that production company or
The production company already offer us one director, and that's it.
uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. Got
And
it.
how do we, in general, like, because we as an agency, we can give our point of view to the client and say, like, and this has happened to me in my career, especially here in the US, more often than in South America, whereas the creative team says, oh, we really like this treatment, because what the production company sends us is called a treatment.
Yep,
We don't
yep.
really see, like, a treatment is like, oh, we're planning on, like, doing this spot in this certain way, and we want, like, sometimes they even
Their vision of it.
their vision, exactly.
Huh?
So like, more often than that, I would like to admit, when we like a treatment, no, the client doesn't always like it, but not because it's not good, it's just they are more budget oriented.
Uh-huh. So you guys have different point of views in a way,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you're concerned about certain things, and it's so interesting how point of view will affect how you
Yeah.
how you choose, right?
Yeah.
Understood. Okay, so you have picked a production company and obviously a director, and they reach out to the casting office, and the casting office goes out and, puts out a notice. How many are you doing self-tapes or are you guys doing callbacks in person?
Well, before that, what we do, because since we are the creators of the idea and we are very protective of the of the idea,
Yes.
not only because obviously sometimes you only have 24 hours, but it's also your vision that it's gonna be there and it's gonna be out
Right?
there. And you
Yeah.
also wanna use that in your portfolio. You wanna show your work, like you are, like, you as a professional, you are creating your portfolio with everything that you are putting out there. So once we awarded a production company, and we go into, before going into auditions, we write what is called casting specs. What are casting specs?
Yes.
Those, if you go to the script, you're gonna see that you have a certain amount of talent, like female talent, male talent, no binary talent, whatever kind of talent you're looking for your script to come to life. And then you add a certain age range. That's pretty much based on what the brand is asking us to do.
Right.
And then to me, the part that I love to do the most is talking about the character, like how I imagine that character will come to life. Like, are they funny? Are they serious? Are they suspicious? Are they, like, cool? Are they, you
I've
have
seen
to.
some very specific ones
Yes.
where it even says like she, you know, she shops at Nordstrom
Mhm.
and loves
Yes.
Diet Coke, like
Yes.
that specific. And what's crazy is I did it as cinematographer for a little bit, and he would get that, and I would see that. This was back
Yeah.
in the days, and I'd be like, "Espérate, pero you guys get this?" And we literally would get in the breakdown like nice casual mom.
No, I'm so sorry because
But
I do.
now, yeah,
Yeah.
now I feel like after COVID, like we're getting so much more information, and I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, no, I love doing that because it's like my vision. It's like, okay, I wrote this script and I want this script to come to life as I have it in my head, you know? Like I want the talent to be exactly like, it's not about like how you look physically, at least to me, but it's more like your attitude and like
I
what are
discussed it.
you like saying with your expressions?
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so then for the first call, how
Hmm.
many people would you say you normally see in a tape?
When it comes to general market, it's like 200, I will say. It's less for Hispanic market, but I think it's here in LA at least, it's because we don't have that much of variety that can really speak like neutral Spanish, that's what the client wants, a little bit of what we were mentioning before.
Yeah.
Like they don't really want like any predominant accent, so yeah, the group
Okay.
is smaller, but I would say like around 80 people
Okay.
per role. If
Per
it's
role.
Hispanic and if it's general market, I would say like, yeah, around 200.
So 200 for a role in general market.
Yeah, it's a
Okay,
bunch.
you just blew my mind because that's
Yes,
a
it's a
lot.
lot. It's really a lot.
That's really a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. And then do you narrow it down to about how many people
Well,
per
that
role?
depends. Because, like, for example, when you get the like, obviously budget wise is what raise
Everything.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah. So sometimes you have like one day for callbacks, sometimes you have two or three. So it depends on how many days the production company budget for callbacks.
yeah. Okay. Okay. So
And
then
yeah,
so it just depends how many people you can fit into that
yeah,
callback. And if it's like, oh, we have 2 days of callbacks, great, you can see
yeah.
more actors at the callback.
Especially like you tend to have more days of callbacks if you're shooting, let's say, like 3 or 4 spots.
Okay. And I noticed that more and more happening more and more where companies are shooting 3 or 4 spots versus what was happening 10 years ago, which would be like one big spot.
Yeah, yeah, because now everything is it's kind of like, I won't say that well, it is social first because more people are on their phone
Okay.
that they are watching TV.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Things are changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So then they're doing more spots.
but
Eh,
shorter. Like
yeah.
if you have 15 seconds, like for example, yeah, I used to work for a convenience store and all the TV spots were 15 seconds, even though like we had more media in social media than on TV.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why now it's like way more important, like the way you are and what you can like communicate in those like
Very short time.
first 5 seconds. Like at every single agency that I've been working for the past 10 years, it's like the first 5 seconds are the most important. So like it's gotta be memorable. So you go for like, okay, we need someone who is memorable, who can like, okay, you can immediately link to the brand that we are trying to put out there.
I'm so glad you're saying that because I drill it in my classes and stuff, like how important your moment before is, that first 5 seconds. Because somebody asked me yesterday, I did a class yesterday, and they were like, oh, you know, if I do 2 takes, should I do the best one second? I'm like, no, give them your delicious, like, it's a lot harder to take you out of the callback group where it's like, oh yeah, she should get a callback, versus like, oh, she's good after like 20 seconds of watching or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, do you watch the tape in its entirety, or are there times that you're like, I know this is not right, so I'm
If I
gonna.
have time, I try to watch the tape entirely, because sometimes I'll like, for example, I'll watch a tape and I'll say, this first take is not the best. But then the second one is like, oh, okay, she can, like, okay, she has a range, or he has a range, you know, and that's a good thing to have, because you never know what's gonna happen. Like, for example, another thing that happens.
I love examples, by the way, so.
Okay. Like, for example, I'll write a script, right? And then we awarded the production company, and then the director is like, why don't we do this like tiny little joke at the end? And it's like, yeah, this actually works, it's funny, it's gonna make it more memorable. Yeah, let's do it. So, but those little changes come like at the end of the whole process. So it's better to have someone, let's say, with more range, that someone that can only deliver. Like, if, like, for me, like, if I see 2 takes in a row and the talent is giving me exactly the same, I'm gonna pass.
God, I love you so much for saying this, and I just want you to like almost scream it, because I feel like I shake actors into. So yeah, another thing that I really focus on, I always turn in 2 takes. If it doesn't say only 1 take, I turn in 2 takes. But the key thing is that they have to be very, very distinct.
Yes.
And by distinct, I mean different. It can't be bigger and smaller of the same version, because I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste the product people time, right? Like you said, I have to watch 200 videos. And how much does it make you go, ay, mira, when the actor come up with 2 very distinct versions of the idea that you came up with, and you're like, oh shit, this person can play, just like you said, because things change so much from conception to actually casting it and to actually shooting it, right?
Yeah. And the other thing that happens, especially when you have like 15 seconds, like, you time it, but like, you time it in front of a laptop, you know? Once you are there, like, you are like with the camera, and let's say you have another talent involved in the scene, it's like, oops, we're in 20 seconds. So that's when the range that the talent can bring to the table is very useful, because sometimes you don't even have time to deliver the whole line. It's just like a quick look, or like a, you know, like a sign, like a hand sign, or like I don't know, a smile, whatever, you know.
I did an AT&T spot that in the actual spot, I feel like it was a lot funnier. But on set, we were like running it, and we were like bum 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 bum, and we were still going over because they still needed to get the logo at the end, and like all of
that happens a lot.
And when I tell you, we couldn't go faster. So we took a break, and they kind of rewrote.
Yeah. Well, that happens a lot in telecommunications. Like, we're rewriting the script at the,
Yes. And I will say that it was funny, but it wasn't as funny as the idea. But that's that's another thing that I tell actors, that sometimes they'll see a spot and they'll go, oh my gosh, there was so much in the actual audition. And then in the spot, it's like, huh, like that. It's literally that look. And I tell them, there's so many other factors that it might have to come down to a look.
And for example, another thing that happens is, because I have worked with both markets at the same time, like Hispanic and general market. And let's say, like, oh, we have this spot for general market that we really love, so can we do it in Spanish? Yeah, let's do it. But like, it's not gonna fit. Like, there's no way it's gonna fit, you know?
Or sometimes like it falls flat a little bit because it's not the same. Okay. what is the difference that you've noticed between the Latin market and the general market? Is there like, as far as the actors, do you notice that like, is there something that should be a little bit more deadpan, or is there a tip you can give us or a difference that you've noticed between the two?
Let me think. I think the humor is different. So the way where we pause for the people to understand the joke is not always in the same place or tempo in English than in Spanish. That's one of the things. But I've been so lucky, and I have worked with bilingual talent, so they grasp it like immediately, and it's so easy for us. I would say that's a big difference, but I don't know if you were referring into like acting differences or
Yeah, or a way that you approach the work, or is it pretty much the same? The comedy's different and then it falls in different places.
Yeah, that happens. And then the other thing that we were just talking about is that if you want to say the same in Spanish, it's gonna take longer no matter what. So most of the time you have to be pretty smart about how you change it, or if you're not gonna say the whole sentence, like what else is gonna take for the, I mean, not for, but like, is like, are we asking the talent to do something else? And that might happen at the moment, like while you are there with the camera on, it's like, can you, like, I'll tell the producer, can you ask the talent to say this, and this instead of like the original line? And I know that must be like super like it must frustrate you like a lot, because it's pretty frustrating. That you learn the line and you practice the line and you're like, yeah, I got this. I did it in like a million different emotions, and now it's like, oh, by the way, we want you to say something else. Sorry, but it's because like once you are there, it's like there's no time. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that we have a new logo mnemonic that is gonna take 3 seconds out of the spot. It's like, wait, what? That's the client,
So like, great, I will do that.
But honestly, no complaints. Like every time that we ask talents, I have never had problems with talents. Ever. On the contrary, they are always like super happy and glad that we asked them to do more.
And as a copywriter, right? Because you're literally writing the words that the actors has to say and stuff like that. For on camera, for the first call, does it bother you? They're your words, right? Does it bother you when they change it just a little bit, as long as it's got like, let's say, I don't know, I'm thinking of like AT&T, that it's 4G, like all of those details are right?
No, I don't mind that. The only thing that I will say that had happened to me in the past, and I'm like, sometimes I will like a talent, but then they are saying the name of the brand incorrectly. So I will call the producer, the producer in the agency, and ask them like, hey, do you mind asking them to pronounce the brand correctly? Because I really like this talent. That's the only thing. But like, I don't mind if they change, like, no.
Okay, because again, I feel like all of this stuff you need like an autoparlante to just say this, because I'm like, guys, there's people that are like, oh my gosh, I said the house instead of like house, like, and
that doesn't change. Honestly,
your words.
Honestly, just say the brand as the brand. For example, let me give you an example. T-Mobile in English is T-Mobile, but in Spanish, and I remember having the client saying like, no, Hispanic call T-Mobile T-Mobile. Let's call the brand as they call it.
Yes.
Or I had worked for AMPM, and which is a convenience store, and they like to call it in English even if it's a Spanish spot.
And do you I mean, do you guys say for Spanish Wi-Fi, or do you say Wi-Fi for Spanish spot?
Wi-Fi
todavía. Okay, that's good. I've always wondered about that particular thing.
In in Spain, they call it Wi-Fi.
Okay.
But I'm talking about South America. I don't know. Yeah.
And how many people do you tend to put on a veil? Is it 2? Is it 5? What do you guys tend to do?
Honestly, I'm not the only one selecting, because I also have like my partner selecting, my boss selecting. So we have like at least like per role, I will say like maybe 10 to 15 people to see.
But that's a callback, right?
Yes.
And then in a veil, like it comes down to,
Let's say maybe like 4 or 5.
oh, so it's on the larger
Yeah,
side than
yeah, because we have to have backups for the clients. The
okay.
clients don't go to the callbacks. The clients don't see the first round of auditions, but we need to have a backup. And depending on the brand, some brands require 3 backups.
Okay.
So you have a reco and 3 backups.
Okay. Okay. And your reco, right? Your first choice. Who tends to make that decision? Is it the director? Is it the agency? What has your experience been throughout your 20 years?
Well, it's a couple of rounds. There are a couple of rounds because you are in the callbacks. Well, first of all, the callbacks are the selections of me, my partner, my boss, and the director, right? We go into the callbacks. Once we are there, we narrow it down to like, let's say 6 people, each of us, and then we see the matches that we have. And then, for example, depends on the director if he really believes like, no, I personally really trust in the vision of the director, because I feel like they know how to like direct a talent rather than me, who is like the one writing an idea or coming up with an idea. So sometimes it's like, and I there's been cases where I'm like, I wasn't sure about this talent. And I'm like, you know what? You are absolutely right. She was perfect for this. Like, I thought we had a better option and you were right. But the thing is, so we try to match in our selection. Let's say like, oh, we have a 3 talent match and we present that to the client, and the final decision is the client. Yeah, sometimes we try like, hey, we don't think this is the best option, or we really like this other one. Yeah, but yeah, it's not our decision.
Then you guys take those people and then you match them up and then you come up with your recommendations and then you present to the product people and hopefully they go, we love what you did, and then you just book
Yeah.
people. Or they go,
Or we don't like for example, for this role, we don't like your record nor your 3 backup options, so we have to go back to see all the auditions, or not the auditions but the callbacks, and then we see, okay, or we go to the ones that we pre-selected but we didn't match, and we study those, because for example, it's more difficult, I'll say, when you have to have 2 talents in a scene, because there's a sort of like, you have to keep in mind that those talents need to have some chemistry. So it's when it gets a little tricky, because you can like adore like these 2 talents, but maybe when you put them together, the chemistry is not really good, and it doesn't need to be romantic.
yeah,
The chemistry between 2 friends.
yeah, you're like, those 2 people, I love both of them, they wouldn't be friends.
Yes, exactly. So sometimes you end up with those like Franken weenies, because this is what the client wants, and it's like, okay, we'll make the best of this, you know?
Ay, ay, ay. Okay.
Yeah, they were a couple. Now they are co-workers, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned that the length of the campaigns are getting shorter and shorter. Do you know what the length of the campaigns are before you shoot? Or is that determined after you shoot it, you watch the commercial?
No, I know. Once I get, because before starting to work, I get what what is called the brief. The brief is the ask. What do we need to do? Why do we need to do this? What do we need to communicate? And what are the medias involved and the length of each one of those items, assets, we call them.
And by length, do you mean like 15 seconds, or you mean it's gonna, and how long it runs? How do you, when,
Well, that depends. Like if it's a promo, like an offer, it will run like, let's say probably like a month after the offer starts, and then until the day that ends.
okay,
Yeah, or if it's a summer, like, or for example, holiday, that is coming now. We are already working for holidays, and we start running in November,
okay.
November 1st.
And then December,
Until December, yeah. And then you keep a little bit of the like, but instead of being holiday, it's winter.
yeah,
For January, February, yeah.
gotcha. I've done a couple of like fast food, and obviously I'm always down to work, like always a celebration, you know? But I know that they're having the McFish or whatever, the McRib or whatever, that's happening for the summer. And that's a spot, right? It's
Yeah.
not a spot that you're gonna have for a really long time, right? Because it's a promotion.
Yeah, or for Easter
Yeah,
in the Hispanic market. Yeah.
yeah. That I did a Kmart spot, and it was an Easter spot, and it's like,
Yeah.
great, but I know it's less than
Yeah.
30 weeks running.
But that depends on, like, for example, my last, it's when it's retail, it's insane. Like my last experience with retail, we were working for this like new launch for like 3 months, and then we had everything approved, like literally everything approved. We were beating the production companies, and we were told that we had to go back to the drawing board because they were, yes, they were, they told us we didn't, yeah, I was crazy, it was insane. We didn't meet the money expectation, the growth that we were expecting for the last quarterly. So we had to go back to the drawing board, and instead of focusing on brand, we're gonna focus on offers. So,
And had you guys already done casting and stuff, or not yet?
no, we were just about to start beating the production companies. We were actually like
Like a whole, like now you're going in a, like you guys were going this way.
we were watching reels, because you get, the thing is that you need to present to the client, to the brand, 3 different production companies, but you check not thousands, but you check at least like 20 reels,
Yeah.
at least. Yeah.
Okay, I remember having a spot once, and I was on a veil. And it was for, they were shooting 3 or 4 spots. And I remember I just never heard, because that's what happens on our end, like we just never hear, right? And thank God I knew a friend in advertising who also is from Miami, en el grupito de Jonathan. And I got word from her that that particular spot just got scrapped.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, it hasn't happened to me, but I have a ton, like I've been in this industry for such a long time. Most of my friends are from the industry. I have had friends who had their spot live for like a week, and then it had to be taken down. Yeah, that happens as well.
Yeah. So some actors sort of make it about ourselves, like, oh, I didn't book it, what could I have done differently, and all this stuff. And if I wouldn't have known that, my friend told me, oh no, we just scrapped that spot, which had nothing to do with the actors that could possibly shoot it.
No.
I would have maybe made it about myself. I'm sure the other actors, that were on a veil maybe did the same thing.
No. That's why I'm telling you, it could be either the extreme where you already produce it and it's already live, but it's like, oh, we have to take it down like 1 week after.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know in that case if you still get paid for the amount of
Yeah.
time that you
Oh,
signed the contract. I have no idea because it didn't happen to me, so I don't know the details. But I remember my friend being kind of like sad.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy business that we're like in every aspect of it, right? Like you
Yeah.
guys sort of like, and do you guys measure like sales according to a commercial airing, or is that not something that,
Well, before they used to like to measure ratings, but now it's more about views on social media and engagement, to be
okay,
completely honest. Because there's
okay.
no action, like for example, or out of home, there's no way to like actually measure how many people saw that out of home, you know?
Yeah, with social media, it's a lot easier to have
Way
analytics
easier.
compared to
Yeah.
TV,
You
which
can
it was
see how
like
many
ratings.
new followers you have, how many people interact with the ad, how many comments, the engagement rate, everything. That's
Okay,
why social media is king.
okay. And so two more questions. So I know that a lot of actors are really concerned about that because the contract or how much actors get paid for a social media spot, even though it has more eyes compared to like TV, but you get paid more for TV. Is
I
that
have
just,
no idea because I don't see numbers.
uh-huh. You're
That,
creative.
yeah, I don't see numbers. I have no idea how much any talent get paid for TV or for social media. Like I have no idea. No.
Okay. Okay.
The only thing that I know is the budget that the brand has to develop the whole campaign or the yeah, all the assets that we need to deliver, including TV, social media, print, radio. That's the
Okay.
only thing that I have to keep in mind, that I don't get to like have an explosion in my TV spot, you know, or I don't get to like, yeah,
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, a chopper flying across LA, you know, or like an aerial shot of LA, like, you know.
Okay, okay. And I know you shared how important the first moment is in a self-tape, but is there anything else that you feel makes a good self-tape, something somebody has done, or things that you're like, oh, I feel like there's certain things that stick out or that make me feel like, oh, I want to put this person in a callback pile, or, keep
Yeah.
them.
Well, to me is different reads. That's a must. And then if you have like a memorable look, that
Yes.
also will cut my attention, because I know that if someone sees you, they will be like hooked, you know. And I'm not talking about beauty or nothing like that. More like, okay, like a unique look, you know,
Yeah, interesting.
something, yeah, something
Something
that will
interesting.
make you stand out in 200 tapes.
Okay. And do you care about the slate?
Um,
No.
in what sense? What do you mean?
I don't know. I feel like actors freak out about the slate, or I don't know, are just like, oh, what should I do? I definitely have a technique about it, but I feel like a lot of people feel like the slate doesn't matter.
I don't think I'm tracking. I'm so sorry.
Like, hi, I'm Cass Santana, whatever. That
Uh-huh.
first beat where, um, do you think that's important, or do you really start judging the work like when the audition starts?
I feel like it's whatever make you feel comfortable.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like
Yeah.
if it makes you feel more comfortable to start your audition tape with a little introduction about yourself, fine. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think it makes any difference, at least to
For
me.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like actors get so caught up about like the instructions and getting it right, and like it said that this and that, and it's like, you guys, it's not about that. What's the feeling of the spot?
Yeah.
Like, giving two different options. I feel like, again, it's like, what should I do to, I feel like it's like a square thing and it's like, I
Yeah.
gotta get that in there, right? And it's like, no.
Let me ask you a question. When you guys get a script, do you get the whole script or you just get your part?
It depends.
Okay.
There's times that we get like the script with the little, for like, the
The
little,
lines,
just the lines.
the,
Sometimes we get the lines
okay,
in like a couple of
the
actions.
specs.
Sometimes we get like the little drawing and like the action and like what it says and the little
Mm-hmm.
shot. And sometimes we get that and we get instructions that are like a little looser on it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like actions, like walk in and you're with your family and you're making tacos. And
Okay.
so
And do they let you know for which brand is the spot, or you don't know?
most of the time we do
Okay.
know. There's times that it's super incognito
Okay.
and they'll say something like Project X and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And then you go and it's like Apple or whatever. So people
Yeah.
get really, but most of the time, yeah, you do know the product. And I tell my actors to like go back and look at what other commercials they've shot and like what the vibe
Yeah.
is. Um,
You read
and
my mind. That's why I was asking, like, if you know the brand or not. But like, one tip that I can give you is go back to what they've been doing, what type of things they like. That doesn't mean that they are gonna go with exactly the same kind of talent or emotion or action, but at least it gives you like, oh, they like humor. They are more serious. They are a little bit,
yeah, is it a little bit over the top? Is it kind of deadpan and
Yeah.
what have they been doing? And that'll give you an idea. I even try to consider if I see, let's say for a wireless thing, it's like, oh, that they're never wearing red because the competitor's wearing red. Like those
Yeah.
little details, I think are
Yes,
stuff
what are
that,
the brand colors? They love that, especially the clients.
yeah. So that might actually help if you're like the rec and you want to make sure you say
Yes.
the rec, or maybe even the second choice, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh, she's wearing red, and they don't even know why, and
yeah,
it's like she's wearing the colors of the product.
yeah. That they love that. I'm trying to think something else that if it's a like some sort of food, like try to like show it like you are eating it during the audition. That might help as well, especially with the client, or whatever product it is. Try to like have it there or display it somewhere.
And one last question, because I just remembered. I know that like it gets busier in certain times of the year. Are there, what does that tend to be like since you've been doing it for so long? It's busier in the beginning of the year. And when is like slow time and when does it get busy? Like what are the busy and slow times?
Well, the busier I will say it's towards it actually depends on the brand, but in general, like towards the end of the year, because everyone wants a holiday campaign, everyone. And
Okay.
then depending on the brand, like going back to school is also kind of big.
Okay. And when do you tend to shoot the back to school?
Back to school, well, here in the US, back to school is after summer, right?
Yeah, August.
Yeah, so we tend to do that like May.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we have it kind of like, yeah,
So end of the year is like your sweet spot
yeah,
for, especially for holiday. And then May is for the beginning of
yeah. I will
fall.
say like mid year and end of the year. Yeah.
And
But
what and what about beginning of the year?
at the beginning of the year, you are either using something that you like, either because the thing is, it depends on the brand. But for example, if you did a holiday campaign, then you also cover yourself having an extra couple of shots that they don't mention like the holiday, and then you can
Yeah.
still run that as, oh, it's winter, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
'Cause you have
cool.
to, yeah, at the end of the day, you have a budget, so you have to be mindful about that.
Good.
And you already have a camera on, which is
Yeah.
the most expensive
We're
thing.
just gonna
So
change,
yeah,
just change a little bit of the stuff
yeah,
around it, not make it Christmas. Yeah, because actors get stressed out about like, oh my gosh, it's so slow. And I'm like, summer's always kind of slow. And then August it kind of picks up. And I just wanted to hear
yeah,
what it was like for you as well. He
yeah.
said, thank you so much for
Oh
your
my
time.
God, no.
Everything you just said was like, sometimes I just want you like for actors to see everything from all of the different angles, again, to demystify it, because the more we realize that like you're a human person who's sitting there in that chair as you're auditioning, it kind of doesn't make it as scary for them.
Yeah, but like, don't be nervous. Remember that we actually, like, we want you, most of the time we want you to be in the spot, but it's not a final decision to make. And
Yeah.
just like be yourself, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Because so if you get like too nervous, then you that is not gonna get the best out of you, you know? So I know it's hard. Imagine us naked, whatever works for you. Like, we are here to be nice. Like, I don't know, at least that's my experience. Like, I don't work with people that is not nice to other people. That's like my, like,
No.
that's where I draw the line. Like, I won't work with people that is like disrespectful to other people. So me and my team are always super respectful. We're there also to have like a good time. Like, for example, if we're doing like a cute spot or a funny spot, like, we all want to laugh, so it's okay. And it doesn't matter if you mess up the line. We are there. We can try it again. Don't worry. We all mess up, so just be yourself.
Hallelujah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you everybody for watching. If you want more insight, thoughts, and concerns, I put all kinds of goodies on Instagram, Line Runner Tapes. And again, thank you so much, Gricel.
Thank you, Kat.
Dale.
Bye bye.